Showtime.
Showtime.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Thank you to all of you who are joining us a little bit early. I appreciate it. I've got some stuff to take care of, and Carly was kind enough to agree to hop on an hour early and let us bang this out so we can get on with our day. I hope you can still make it part of your day. Thank you for tuning in. Let's take a quick look for folks in the chat before we jump right into it, because we're going to try to make this a quick one today. Michael Bingham, thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate your kind thoughts. I'm glad to hear your mom is better, and I hope you've got those new shoes and do not have any more blisters.
No.
Um,
Hello.
Hello, Spectrum Gamer YT. Had a question. Planning to go back to Epcot this year for Test Track 3.0.
Woo-woo.
Will Asha from Wish come back this December, or will she be retired? I haven't heard any plans to give Asha a permanent meet and greet in the parks. I think unless there's a sequel, or maybe she pops up in a parade or something. I know there's the new Disney Starlight Parade
Oh,
that's
yeah.
coming out. I don't know if we have a complete list of characters that are on that. I don't think I've seen her as part of that yet, but maybe she could make an addition, on a group float in that. But if we hear anything about Asha coming back to the parks, I'll shout it out to you next time we see you in the
Yeah.
chat.
I feel like that might be wishful thinking. It's with those permanent ones. It's just.
Yeah. And all right. So thank you, everyone who's tuned in. We've got 60 something people here. John Self, our reporter, he is busy eating food right now. We're going to be talking about some of the food that John had
Yes.
to eat in just a minute. So let's go ahead and jump right into this in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and MEI-Travel. I am Seth.
And I'm Carly.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. Carly, how have you been this past week?
I have been good. I have been getting ready because I have an exciting week ahead. I am going to be staying at the new Universal Stella Nova Hotel for its grand opening tomorrow, Tuesday, January 21st, the first of 3 new hotels. And I'm also going to hit Epcot Festival. So I've been studying up on all the foods I want to try. And I know we're going to be talking about it later on, but this is the first festival in a long time I'm actually really excited about because there's a lot of good new items, and the reviews I've heard from people I trust are excellent.
We are definitely going to be talking about the festival later in the show. And as far as Stella Nova goes, I also got to pay a visit. I hope I get to run into you over there maybe this week. But I got to go over there, not for an overnight stay, but a sneak peek media tour along with our publisher, Matt. Blake's got an article up on our website with all of the photos and lots of details. I got to say, I've been a big fan of Universal's value resorts, Cabana Bay, Aventura, Endless Summer. This might be my favorite yet. I love the space age House of the Future vibes. I dig terrazzo and space age light fixtures and all that stuff. The pool is massive, and it was freezing. You're going to be here on a really cold week.
Yeah.
It was like barely 50 degrees the morning that I went to visit it, and I stuck my hand in the pool, and the
Crazy.
pool was like bath water. It was gorgeous. and just the proximity to the new park is amazing. It is such a tease because
You're
if
right
you
there.
look out over the
Yeah.
parking lot, I park my car and I'm like, that's the backside of Donkey Kong Country Minecart Madness. That's Mount Beanpole, like right there. You
Wow.
can see the back
Right
of
there.
the Frankenstein Castle, even Helios, from some of the hotel rooms, from the parking lot. It's right there. The rooms are nothing fancy or elaborate. They didn't try to go like super high tech like Aventura did, but they're nice, they're clean, they're comfortable, and there's nice little touches like fiber optic stars in the hallways, and the circular windows, which everyone's going to take pictures with the round windows. For
Yep.
a hotel that you can stay at for under $150 a night, it's an incredibly nice property in an amazing location, and I think it's going to be a big hit.
Absolutely.
So,
I just am a huge fan of all the Universal hotels. I've stayed at
yeah,
all of them many times, but I go back to Endless Summer again and again because you
yep,
just can't beat the price point for a
yeah,
true resort. It's not a hotel, it's not a Motel 6. You have coffee,
yep,
real food, and I'm so excited that we're gonna have
yep,
two more options actually. I have a
yep.
question. I'm assuming the walking path was not open, but in your
No,
guesstimate, how many minutes do you think that'll be of a walk?
you know, I would say it's definitely a lot closer than say Cabana Bay is to Islands of Adventure. Um,
Mm, yeah.
I mean, it really looks like to walk basically across the parking lot, cross the street, and you're basically into the back of the bus loop where bus guests are being dropped off.
Okay.
I don't know if you just connect directly to the bus loop or if there's a private path that parallels that, but it really it feels like definitely less than 15 minutes.
Wow.
I could probably jog it in 5 if I wanted to, depending on how winding it actually is.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's real close. I mean,
wow.
I feel like it's closer than Boardwalk to the gate of Epcot.
Wow,
Like,
that's close, yeah. I was gonna say, is it like
I
flying
can't wait.
dolphin? Yeah.
I can't wait to first of all, when it is open to guests this week, to see how close they allow you to get before they wave you back, and then of course, once it's open, to actually time it and see how many steps it is, and compare it. But my gut feeling is it's gonna feel like you're right there. You're just across the street. Terra Luna will also have walking access. They're not advertising it because it's a much longer walk. You've got to cross an additional street. They're not encouraging people necessarily to walk from Terra Luna. They think that most people will be better off just taking the bus. But for Stella Nova, I think I would certainly be walking for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even like the garden path when you take
Yeah,
that from Aventura, I don't mind
yeah,
doing that. This is incredible. I mean, just the fact that just such the value that you get for your money with this and that you're next to a park. I mean, I feel like I don't like the boardwalk or Yacht and Beach Club because I don't like the hotels, but everyone's like, but it's location, it's location. So now you're getting location,
location
but you're
without
paying
this
like
insane price tag. Yeah.
peanuts. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to wrap my head around. Did you try the food? I know you guys had a few samples.
Yes, well, I got to sample. They gave us a few items. There were banana walnut buttermilk pancakes, which were exactly what they said. There was a gooey monkey bread that was in
Yes.
sort of a muffin shape. There was a decent monkey bread. Mine was a little on the dry side. I like it. I like emphasis on the gooey.
Ooey gooey, yeah.
The hot honey chicken pizza. Uh, I got the pizza and the chicken. I didn't taste a lot of the hot honey,
Mhm.
but maybe that's something they wanted to go subtle on. I think my favorite thing that I tried was the stuffed croissants that have sweet
Yes.
cream cheese and berries. That was probably the best thing I tried. Something that I'm looking forward to. I talked to the executive chef, and it says that the menus will be similar between Stella Nova and Terra Luna. But one difference is that Terra Luna is going to have a dedicated kitchen for plant-based food, and so they're
Oh,
going to have a additional vegan menu only over at Terra Luna, tying into the Earth theme over there.
wow, that is really impressive. Yeah, I
Yeah.
keep stalking the menu, what like the website for the hotel, because they haven't released full menus. Did they tease any of the other items, or they were kind of limited?
They did. I was told the three things to look out for at dinner are a half chicken,
Ooh,
um, a salmon, and shrimp and grits. Those are
yes.
told those are the three things that I should try. So
Awesome. Well, now I know what I'm having for dinner tomorrow.
can't wait. Well,
Something great.
maybe I can come over. There is a parking fee there. They're not encouraging people who are not registered guests to park there because it's a very high parking fee if you're not a registered guest. But if you're an annual pass holder like I am, you can park in the regular garage. Buses will be running as of opening day. And I said, I asked, are we allowed to do that? And the Lowe's executives say they welcome locals to come and check out, visit their restaurants, and see what they have to offer. And one thing that they do have to offer is a lot of
Oh,
new merchandise that we have
really?
not seen before. I was a little bummed that there's no actual Stella Nova Terra Luna merchandise. Because Cabana Bay had such great merch.
Yeah, and I feel like
Um,
with the space theme, there would be great stuff.
right. I think Helios Grand will probably have some exclusive merch, but
Mhm,
what they do have is the first opportunity to buy some brand new Epic Universe merchandise that we have not seen anywhere before, not online, not in the preview center. They've got a Dolores Umbridge wand that
mhm.
comes with a kind of a lace wrapping in the pink box. We've got some Metro Flu shirts and hats, some Fantastic Beasts stuffed animals,
And there was house
and
berets, which I will be purchasing one because I
yes,
feel like now that puts me in the direction for my outfit for
yes,
Epic Universe. I feel like almost this choice to do this like almost overshadowed a lot of the hotel content
right.
because I was obsessed like so many people with looking at all this new merch, and then of course Dark Universe. Oh,
I will. I'll say, my heart as a collector goes back to when I had every single Star Wars action figure. So when I saw they had made action figures for Dark Universe, I was really excited. They come in 2 packs. You can either get Dr. Victoria and her Frankenstein monster, or you can get Dracula's Bride and Dracula. The only problem is it's $84 for 2 action figures,
ooh.
and I have a hard time justifying that. So,
Yeah,
I'm
unless
gonna
it's like
hold
a
off and
limited
wait.
edition thing, but it doesn't seem so.
Yeah, maybe I can get a discount. They are taking annual pass discounts over at the merchandise store.
I was gonna
So
ask you that because sometimes, like, ahead of opening, because I know you guys were
I
able to purchase
I
stuff.
asked and they said yes, we were able to purchase stuff at media and they were accepting annual pass and team member discounts. So hopefully you will be able to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
Amazing. I love the Dark Universe hoodie. Very cool looking. There's a lot of great stuff.
Yep. So yeah, check out on our website the preview, and I'm sure we will do a deeper dive into Stella Nova after you've got a chance to actually experience it.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. I cannot wait.
yeah. So I not to bring the mood down. I had a kind of a tough week. My dad passed away this week, and we were actually supposed to go and visit Walt Disney World together for the first time in a long time. He was going to see Star Wars. He'd never seen Galaxy's Edge, and
Oh, I'm
we
so
went
sorry.
to see all the Star Wars movies when they first came out when I was a kid. So it's been a tough week, but I just if he's happens to be watching podcasts in the afterlife, because I don't think he ever watched one in on this earth. But if he is, I wanted to give him a shout out. I would not have uh, been able to become obsessed with theme parks and Disney movies and Star Wars and all those other geeky obsessions that turned into my lifelong career, if it hadn't been for his encouragement or at least tolerance of my weird hobbies and obsessions. And he had great weird hobbies himself. He loved collecting things like old medical equipment, and loved the Three Stooges, and he's just a great guy. And I will say that it's been a tough week, but I went over the other day and took a lap around Universal, and it was good. It might sound strange, but it was good to just go out in a theme park and be around people and get my mind off of it for a little while. So, there
Beautiful.
is if anyone says there's no therapeutic, mental health benefit to theme parks, they don't know what they're talking about.
I agree with you. It's so well said. I know a lot of people in Southern California, I know, have been escaping to Disneyland, booking overnights because
hmm
there's just something about it. And it's a universal thing where, everyone comes together. So I totally agree with you. I will be having an extra dry martini for him this
Thank
week.
you. I am not a martini fan, but I would have one with him. He liked olives. I never got to like olives, and he did not care how cheap the vodka was. And I'm
Oh,
very,
damn.
yeah.
I was going to ask you
He
what was
was.
his vodka of preference, but
Oh,
I'm not having
I
pop
mean, I was gonna say if it came in a very large plastic jug,
off.
that was the vodka for.
Oh no. Okay, well, I'm gonna have like a Belvedere for him.
Yes. All
Oh,
right.
beautiful.
Well, we'll bring the mood up a little bit right now. Thank you, all of you, for your patience, and jump right into the news in the queue. All right. I feel like we were just talking about it. We are going to jump right back over to Epic Universe, because we have some news about how early park admission is going to work at Epic Universe. And here's the twist. It's a little different than at Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios, where it is focused on the Wizarding World. Instead, it is going to be focused on Super Nintendo World. And I should have guessed, seeing how popular Super Nintendo World is over in Hollywood. But I also kind of maybe thought that it was going to be at Harry Potter, like
Yeah, same.
the
But
other
you know
park.
what? I'm actually happy that it's not,
Yeah, it spreads it out a little, and it also it gives some folks who don't have early admission maybe a chance of getting on the Battle of the Ministry.
I don't know, because if I had early park admission, I might
I'm gonna
try
be
and rope drop Wizarding World.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. So, all right, here's the details.
Yes.
So this is starting on May 23rd. As of May
Not grand
20,
opening day.
not the grand opening day. Absolutely. There had been some confusion about that. I think at one point they might have said that the early entry was going to be on grand opening day. That's a bad idea because there's going to be opening
I was
ceremonies and
just
all
about to
sorts of things.
say, yeah.
It-
Hopefully we will be there for an opening ceremony like
yeah.
Nintendo World and whatnot. So yeah, that makes sense.
But day 2, the first normal day of operation, and from then on, at least every day through the end of 2025, and then we'll see what happens in 2026. Early entry will be 1 hour before the official opening time, and it will include these 4 attractions only: Stardust Racers roller coaster, that's in the Celestial Park area, and then in Super Nintendo World, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, that's the augmented reality dark ride, the Yoshi's Adventure, which is the slow moving outdoor elevated ride, and Minecart Magnus, that's the Donkey Kong Country roller coaster. It will not include the carousel that's in the middle of Celestial Park, which I think would be a smart add-on just to give little kids one more
Right.
option. But it will also not include Dark Universe, Wizarding World of Harry Potter, or How to Train Your Dragon. So obviously we don't yet know the details of how how close to those lands, how they'll queue people up for those portals. Because I know for sure, I would be wanting to rope drop Ministry of Magic.
Yeah.
So this is available to anyone staying at any of Universal's 11 hotels. You don't have to be staying at Helios Grand or Stella Nova or Terra Luna. You can stay on the old property and bus over. And also, there are certain packages that you can buy through Universal Vacations staying off-site that include early entry. I don't know if we have confirmation yet if those off-site packages are also going to include Epic. I imagine that they will, but I don't have confirmation on that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is great. I mean, think about it. You could bang out 3 of what's going to be the most popular rides in Epic Universe if you do this. I mean, maybe if you, I don't know if you'll be able to do it in an hour.
I'll be frank with you. Having experienced early entry at both Super Nintendo World in Japan and in Hollywood, I think that unless you are literally the first person in line that morning, like you are waiting at the gates
Right.
2 hours before the early entry starts, no one is in front of you and you sprint, you might get through 2 of these rides.
Yeah.
Like, if I was doing this, I would try to be the first person on Minecart Madness.
Yeah.
Because I think Minecart Madness of those 3 rides will have the lowest capacity and is the most unique. And then Mario Kart and Minecart Madness both have single rider lines, which help, but a lot of times those single rider lines aren't opened up right away during early entry periods. So they might not be helpful then. Honestly, your best bet might just to do Yoshi, to rope drop Yoshi.
Yeah.
Or, one of the times I rope dropped Super Nintendo World, none of the rides were running, and I probably had the best time because I just did the power-up band games.
Yes, I love
And
that.
early entry is the best time to do the power-up band games. If you want to be able to knock out 3 keys and get to see Bowser Jr. battle without having to stand in a long line, for each of those battles, knock that out in the morning. And what I would probably do is, if I'm the first person in there, try to do one of the e-tickets and then play the games, and then a half hour into early entry, just get out of there and line up for whichever other land you want to rope drop.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I guess it's what your preference is. Some people are going to have stuff they want to do. We've already been on Mario Kart, in Hollywood, so that's not going to be a priority for us. But I think that's a great idea.
And I think I do think that Battle for the Ministry, in terms of the major rides, it's that creative keeps talking about it as like this is their one-upping of Rise of the Resistance, which means I think it's going to have a lot of moving parts, a lot of like stages that all have to work together. Exactly. If anything is going to go down, it will be that. So get on it when you can.
Yeah.
I think it might be like those those early months of like Gringotts, early months of Hagrid's, where it was down more than up. It might be like that all over again, but fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've also got more information in this article here about the new hotel categories. For they recategorized the hotels. We mentioned this previously. I actually talked to the Lowe's executives about this at Stella Nova, and they understood that there's a little confusion because prime value and value in suites, the pricing kind of overlaps. There's prime value is supposed to be a higher tier, but there are times where you can get a room at a prime value for cheaper than something at Cabana Bay, for instance. And so they said that the categorization for value and in suites was really emphasizing the availability of the suites, the larger rooms like at Cabana Bay and Endless Summer, that are built for families at a low price point, so that they can have, separate beds, separate bedrooms, and split bathrooms. They said
Wow,
that's the
that
real
makes sense
focus
now.
of that
Value in these
categorization.
suites. Okay, I
Yeah,
got it.
the
That
the
makes
the
a lot of sense.
the focus on that category was really the suites part. You don't have any suites at Stella Nova and Terra Luna. There are technically a few suites at Aventura, but they're like high-end luxury suites. It's not the same kind of like value price family suites that they have at those value inn and suite properties. So they said that was really the emphasis. But they did acknowledge that, like in some ways, like Cabana Bay, you've got a lazy river and really nice fitness center, and in some ways that's got some nicer amenities than Stella Nova, for instance. But then again, Stella Nova is so close to the theme park, and for me, like that alone is an incredible amenity.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's
I
very
do. I could still quibble with them about including everything in the signature collection
yeah.
when the amenities, especially the Express Pass, varies so much between them. But yeah, I'll give them a pass.
Yeah, I know. I
At
almost
least there isn't like 17 different categories like there
correct.
used to
Yeah,
be.
I know. I would rather lump Hard Rock, Helios,
Yeah,
Portofino together just because I feel like those are the
yeah.
same kind of caliber. But whatever. I do like the new categories. It makes a lot of sense now that you
Yeah.
explained it that way. Were there any other little tidbits you learned from there?
I have an article coming out in the
Oh,
Orlando Weekly.
yes.
They'll be out this Wednesday, where I have some little bits of my interviews.
Awesome.
And so I encourage you to check that out, because I could probably talk about it all day. We're already half hour into our show.
You know what? We're going to be talking about Epic a lot this year.
Oh
So
yes, oh yes. And if you are excited for more Epic information, oh, that was for another story. If you are excited for more Epic information, ride testing is going on right now with real human beings
no
on
crash
that
test dummies.
Donkey Kong ride.
Yes.
Lots of brand new aerial photos from our good friend BioReconstruct. So please check all that out on the website.
Yes, we are almost there.
Yeah. Something else we are almost there for is the destruction of DinoLand U.S.A. We talked about this previously. Closing day for portions of DinoLand U.S.A. happened not so long ago, and we have an article up discussing the phases that it is closing in. To recap, the final day of operation was January 12th for the Triceratops Spin Ride, the Fossil Fun Midway Games, and Chester and Hester's Dinosaur Treasures store. But the rest of the land, including Dinosaur, the Boneyard Playground, and the restaurant, are remaining open through 2025 until an unspecified date.
Yes. You have plenty of time to go get that dino.
Plenty of time to get that dino. One last time to help Dr. Seeker finally get his research complete so he can finally get his PhD. He is like the longest running grad student ever. Like, yeah, I mean, like, he's everything but dissertation. Exactly.
Yes.
It's so sad. But what we've got on our site now is some photos, a construction update, watching those dinos make way for the madrigals, as we see portions of Dinoland being deconstructed to make way for the new Encanto attractions. I'm not that sad to see the Dinorama carnival stuff go away.
Yeah.
Seeing that up behind construction walls, that doesn't hurt me too much, especially since the construction walls say squirrel.
Yeah.
You gotta love that. But I am really curious. One, it looks like they are carefully kind of deconstructing the Triceratops spin. That's the ride hardware for that is probably perfectly good. So who knows, that could show up as a rethemed spinner ride somewhere else in the Disney universe around the world.
Interesting. Yes, you're so right. I mean, usually we would see them just, bulldozing.
Yeah,
stuff down.
they look like they're taking that apart with purpose.
I was cracking up because Disney released like the photo of literally the shovels and the dirt, and I just like remember when Josh at D23 was like, "Shovels are in the
shovels in the ground."
ground."
The thing that I need to, we've got a very cold week coming up, but I
Yeah.
might have to head out there to look for myself. This picture here that kind of shows where the hedge fence is blocking off the view. Just at a camera view to the right would be where the Mr. Imagination statue, folk art dinosaur sculpture. That I cannot see the spot where it was exactly in any of our pictures, and I've still got hopes that maybe it's being preserved too and not just demolished. So
Yeah, you're gonna have to
I'm
do
gonna
some
get around. Yeah,
snooping.
I'm gonna have to do some snooping and peek through some cracks in the wall, maybe. Um,
Yes,
but
exciting stuff though. I feel like
it's good to see progress. I still wish I could have taken one last look around that store, though.
yeah,
I hope some of that kitschy decoration that was in there turns up somewhere else someday.
fingers crossed. At least what we're giving, we're getting something really good in exchange. So
Yes, hopefully. Um, well, I know you are excited about the Epcot International Festival of the Arts, which kicked off this past weekend. I've always said it might be the shortest festival, but I think it packs the most in. And John Self, who was checking in the comments earlier in the broadcast, he is our brave volunteer who went out and tried just about everything and has for us a breakdown of all of the best and worst new food items at the Festival of the Arts. This is a really good, detailed analysis with comparisons to other Epcot festivals. It shows off all of the new menus and menu items. I don't want to completely spoil it because he did a really great job of writing all of this out. So I really encourage you to go to attractionsmagazine.com and then make your own opinion. But Carly, I know you are one that always does research before you go to the festivals.
oh
What
yeah.
are you most looking forward to? And is there anything that like you saw and you're like, I might be skipping that?
Yes, I don't do salmon, so I will not be having this scone that literally every
Yes.
person is talking about is amazing. I can't do it. Not my thing, but I will tell you several dishes I'm really hyped about is the squid ink pasta with the lump crab and the truffle that has been getting great reviews. There it is. We have a great
Now,
photo of it.
we got to talk because it is very rare that you meet someone who says, I don't do salmon,
I know.
but squid ink.
Yes.
Yeah, usually salmon is like the starter food for seafood.
I know. It's a lifelong thing. I love other fish. I love sea bass. I will eat a million oysters. I just can't do salmon. I think it's a
Yeah.
mental thing. I wish I could like it. My life would be easier, I always say, because it is so popular.
I am a big fan of salmon. I am also a fan of caviar.
Mm,
I will say that it is not often that you get like restaurant quality caviar and salmon at a food festival, and according to John's review here, you probably aren't getting that now either. But he actually kind of gave it a thumbs up, so I might take the risk for both of us on
yes,
that one.
I do have to say, my first time ever trying caviar was at the 1996 Epcot Food and Wine
Ah,
Festival. I was 10 years old. It was the first year. My parents like, you should try this. And I really think that would change the trajectory of my life because I was like, oh, I like this. I
that's
like food
amazing.
festivals. Yeah, so I'm excited to try that. I'm excited to try this chicken pot pie, which is like a, very artsy way of
It is a very flat chicken pot pie.
yeah, so it's like a flaky pastry. My sister actually is at Epcot right now, and she just had it, and she said it was really, really good.
Yeah.
I love Hong Kong egg tarts. It's like one of my favorite if I'm in the mood for like a sweet or a pastry like item. So I am really excited. I mean, I'm a little cautiously optimistic because they're really easy to be bad. So I really want to try that. But yeah, there's a lot of great new. I mean, I haven't been this excited about festival menu in years because a lot of the festivals we see like 95% repeated items.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really interesting new ones this time.
Yeah, I mean, considering how this is the shortest festival, in many ways it's a much smaller menu than the other festivals. I feel like there's more new items for this than we had like for the Food of Wine
Yeah,
festival, relatively
absolutely.
speaking, which is much
Yeah.
larger. Um, a few of these items, John did not give a big thumbs up to. You read his descriptions, and if it sounds like his tastes match with yours, you might want to skip the shrimp dumplings with pumpkin puree over at China, or the candy trio flight over at Swirled Showcase. That's a shame because I love me some Dole Whip,
Yeah.
but it looks like it's got some functional issues of just not being a great combination of textures and containers.
Yeah.
Like well, not practical unless you are a professional juggler.
No, exactly. No, but I will say with the festivals, the only consistency is inconsistency. It's like I will get like there's some items that I always get, like the ham and cheese little pretzel bun slider thing at Epcot Food and
Mhm.
Wine Festival. I'll have that several times throughout the season. Some days it's great, some days it's hard as a rock. So it really depends like how long has this dish been sitting out? Some days when you go to an Epcot Fest and it's not busy and the dishes have been sitting under the heat tray for
Yeah,
like 20 minutes, it's like, and so try things if you
yeah,
want to try it, at least it's not too big of a financial commitment.
yeah,
Although some of the items, especially like the China booth, the Mexico booth, those are priced pretty high.
yeah. Yeah, it's not a cheap way to get full for
No.
sure. You might want to eat before you eat. But the one thing I will say in the Festival of the Arts favor in terms of the food is that because the plating is often much more elaborate than they usually have, a lot of it, it has to be assembled right before it's served. So that
Right.
sometimes makes it more likely that you're going to get one that's freshly prepared. It also can sometimes mean that the lines are a little slower. I remember the first year where they had like a charcuterie board that had like 17 steps and involved tweezers, and the line was just went on forever. They've cut back on that kind of stuff a little bit, but still, even if you don't like how it tastes, they all always make great photographs. They are
They do.
always really beautiful. So the festival runs daily through February 24th. Food studios open around 11 a.m. and run until park closing. There are lots of other things to do at the festival other than eat, and one of them is Disney on Broadway is celebrating their 30th anniversary. And they've got both the Disney on Broadway concert series in the American Garden Theater. And they've also got a new exhibit called Once Upon a Stage 30 Years of Disney on Broadway inside the new Communicore Hall. And from what I've seen, this is a great exhibit that finally gives Communicore Hall a reason to exist.
Yes, to say the least. I haven't seen this in person yet, but I
Yeah.
will on Thursday. It looks great. And this is
Hmm.
why we have this, it's very exciting. And, I feel like when things look good in pictures and videos, I'm like, it's going to look even better in person.
Yeah. Very excited to see that. And also, just I don't know if a lot maybe younger people can even understand what Disney on Broadway has meant to Broadway and New York City in general. I grew up in North Jersey, right outside the city. I used to take the bus or the
Mhm.
train in to see, Broadway shows on cheap student tickets before there were any Disney Broadway shows,
Yeah.
before Lion King, before Beauty and the Beast, and Times Square, Broadway was sketchy. It was, there were still great shows like, Les Miserables,
Mhm.
Phantom of the Opera, in the, mid late 80s. But, just getting from the Port Authority bus station down 42nd Street
Yeah.
was, was a little hairy.
Yeah.
Uh, and when Disney came in and like first did Beauty and the Beast, and then more importantly, when they bought the theater for
Lion
Lion
King,
King,
yeah. Mhm.
that completely transformed, for good or for ill, completely transformed Broadway, both as an industry and as a physical place. That area of town is completely different than it was when I was growing up. There are no more sex shops or porno
Yeah,
theaters
I
or
just have to say.
it. I mean, there are still cannabis dealers, but instead of being on the sidewalk, they're actually have street front stores now.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
that's a difference. But we also didn't have every show on Broadway was inspired by a previously existing IP. Like
Mhm.
Disney, and I think Disney in a lot of ways is maybe responsible for, obviously Les Mis was based on a book, Phantom of the Opera was based on a book, but they became
They
their own
became
thing.
popular because of
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because of the musical, whereas Disney kind of took that business model of we have a story we know people like, characters
Familiar,
they
yeah.
like, songs that they like. Let's put this on stage, plus it up, get a famous director to do something creative with it, and just rake in the money. And that is basically every new musical now
I
has
know. So
has
that's
to
my
be
one
built on that.
gripe because I
Yeah,
hate that. I am an
yeah,
80s musical person, but
yeah,
it's fine. There's a lot of good out of it.
yeah.
So
But I mean, they've done it. I've over the years I got to see uh, Ashley Brown and Gavin Lee do Mary Poppins on Broadway.
mhm.
Lion King, the original production of Lion King, just really it's hard to explain what it was like to see that when there was nothing else like that. And
Right.
so my hat's off to Disney on Broadway. Congratulations on your 30th, and go and check that out at the festival while it lasts through
Yes.
February 24th.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were
And
also going to say, and go buy stuff because the art
yeah.
is one of my favorite
Oh
parts of
yes.
the
Oh
festival.
yes, and the artists too. There's so many great artists who come every year. I know my friend Kim Grommel, who does Star Wars art, has a great new portrait of, I think it's Darth Vader on Hoth this year. And yeah, love meeting all the artists. They're so accessible.
Yes. Yeah, same. Yeah,
And
I love Scooter, who I'm sure you're familiar with. Very like shag, mid-century modern, pops of color. I
yes,
bought
yes,
a piece last year, and
yes.
now there's like a sister piece this year, so I'll probably be purchasing that. And also, it's
uh,
important to know if you don't live locally, they will ship it for you. And I
yes,
can attest that it comes perfectly fine. I've never had an issue with it. So, don't
yeah,
let that hold you back if you're worried about carrying anything with you.
yeah.
You don't even leave the booth with holding anything except for a receipt and a tracking number.
Yep.
So,
And if you want more information about Disney on Broadway, check out my article at orlandoweekly.com this week, where I talked with Adrian Sarple, who's associate director for Disney Theatrical. He has worked on every version of Frozen, and he worked with Cameron McIntosh. He was in the West End cast of Saturday Night Fever. A really interesting guy. Had a great interview with him about it. So check that out.
awesome.
All right. Now, something that is on the West Coast that is a different kind of theater that I'm very jealous that our producer, Jeff
Yes.
DePaolo, got to do is Alien Encounter, an immersive show playing in Los Angeles that pays tribute to the Magic Kingdom attraction that I'm sure many of our listeners were too young to experience. But Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter was a Tomorrowland Theater in the Round show that was there before Stitch's Great Escape. And it was just strange for a
It
Disney
was
park.
very strange.
It was one of those kind of unsuccessful things with a cult following that has been resurrected, sort of, in this show, unofficial tribute out in California. Our producer got to see it, wrote up a really great story about it, and also he has a podcast. We've got a link to it on our website. I really encourage you to check this out. Were you a fan of extraterrestrial? Did you ever get to do the alien encounter?
Oh yeah, many times.
Okay.
I liked it. Yeah, it was fine. I'm more shocked that when I was reading the story, you have to read through it. It's very, very interesting, the amount of detailing and just it's crazy. I'm like, when I read stuff like this, I'm like, it's amazing that this was made. It's almost so bizarre in the
It
best
really
way.
is. And it's this kind of this is like the immersive theater experience equivalent of those, like the Winnie the Pooh horror movie that they've come out with, or I think there's a
Yes.
Steamboat Willie. These I guess those are public domains, so people can rip that stuff off now. This looks like it's coming just close enough to the line that they're kind of begging for a cease and desist.
Yes, I
But I guess
know.
it's clearly parody. I mean, they've got the hidden Mickey details. They've got the warning signs and the cast members and everything to just beg for a lawsuit. But yeah, it's definitely parody. And if this sounds like something that you'd like to do, check out trepannyhouse.org. The show is scheduled to run through the end of this month. But boy, I wish they would bring this on tour.
Yeah, this is pretty incredible. I mean, I will say, please read it because it is really, really
Yeah,
fascinating if you love that period of time of Disney parks.
yeah. I was lucky enough to experience all the different versions of Alien Encounter. I got to see when it was early on in testing, when it still had Phil Hartman doing the
Mm.
voice of the
Oh,
robot, who
wow.
was then replaced by Tim Curry. It was the best. And they various changes to it over the years before it turned into Stitch. And then when they finally decommissioned it, I got one of the seats I went to an auction of Disney discards and
Whoa.
got one of the chairs, and I also got my hands on the source audio on a CD. So you were able to sit in my chair and listen to headphones, and if I sprayed water in your face at just the right time, it was just like being on Alien
Oh my God.
Encounter.
Where do you keep the chair?
The chair was kept in my garage. It was rubber that basically was disintegrating and had the stink of 1,000 butts,
Oh boy. Sweaty
a
Magic Kingdom
billion
vibes.
tourist butts
Yeah.
embedded in the rubber. Yes, my wife wisely encouraged me to let it go, like Elsa,
Oh my
after we got
God.
married. But yeah, that was one of my stranger collectibles over
That
the
is
years.
really hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed with
I,
following like the Von Eaton galleries, which
yeah,
always sells all those, old ride
yeah.
vehicles and stuff. And I'm
This
like, you'll know
this
when I'm rich because I'm buying all of
this was in bad shape. It was not going to show up in any catalog. But yeah, that's something I definitely got from my dad. He collected old barber chairs, and I had an old theme park chair.
Oh my, I love that so much.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this week's News in the Queue. It is now time for us to hear a word from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
All right. Well, for this week's main attraction, we are heading out to Anaheim, California, where there has been a disturbance in the spirits from the netherworld. The Haunted Mansion Classic Edition has reawakened after being the Nightmare Before Christmas version seemingly forever. And the attic has a new occupant, and there's some controversy. So let's talk about the debut of the new version of the Beating Heart Bride in the reimagined attic scene at Disneyland's Haunted Mansion.
Not
This
at
is
Magic Kingdom. Very important.
yes. We're not talking about Walt Disney World. No plans to change Walt Disney World right now. But we have seen changes in the past that started out in California, like the Hatbox Ghost, eventually come to Disney World. So who knows? It could happen eventually. But for right now, yeah, we're talking about the California version that reopened from refurbishment on January 18th. We hadn't seen the non-Nightmare Before Christmas version in quite a long time.
Yes.
And in the meantime, we've had a rebuild of the exterior queue. We've talked about that before. We've had the addition of a new gift shop at the exit, which we've talked about before. This is the biggest change inside, which is a replacement for the bride, which the last version of the bride was known as Constance Hatchaway. She was voiced by the actress Kat Cressida, who was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and does a lot of voiceover acting. She no longer speaks. She no longer has an axe. She's no longer talking about chopping off her husband's heads. Now the tone has gone back to the original Black Widow mourning bride. She doesn't speak, but she does carry a new candelabra, which is the same candelabra we see in the floating hallway. And then we see it again now at the crypt in the graveyard, which is a nice kind of through line. And my favorite addition is she now has a Raleigh Crump one-eyed black cat with her.
Yes.
I'm always for more cats in the Haunted Mansion.
Always. Same. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, from a purely technical level, the former bride, I think, when she first came out, was early in projection mapping technology, and we were like, ooh, you can do that. And then after a while, we were like, yeah, but should you do that? I think it was an interesting idea, but it changed the tone that the mansion originally had. It, changed the storyline of who that bride was, changing her from a kind of a sad character, a victim, into a gleeful murderer.
Yeah.
And which was not the original intent for that character. So if we're purists and we want to restore the original intent of the Haunted Mansion, that's what this is kind of doing.
That makes sense. I mean, because literally she was snickering practically.
Yeah. And I just think that from a technical point of view, this is it's still using projection technology, but it's blending it better with the animatronics and the Pepper's Ghosts and more traditional lighting. That I think it's less a technical stunt and becomes more of an atmospheric character. It's less of a gag, and it's more of becomes part of the whole atmosphere. So I haven't seen it in person. I'll reserve judgment until I see it up close, but I think the bride is an improvement to me.
Yeah,
I don't know. What's your take?
Great. I don't know. I think about it from two ways. You're right. It is the original intention and integrity of the ride, so I like that part. But I don't know. I love the look of Constance, and it was so eerie with the way she was snickering, the axe, and yeah, I mean, it looks good. I can't wait to see it in person. But yeah, I mean, I guess from a purist, I'm split. It's hard.
Yeah, I think I think the people maybe would be a lot less up in arms about this change if it hadn't been accompanied by this article from the LA Times by reporter Tom Martins. And I gotta say, this is just my own personal opinion. I've seen a lot of online hate. There's another word directed at Kim Irvine, based on people interpreting specific words in her quotes in this article. And the first thing I got to say is, as someone who is a journalist and has been interviewed and interviewed other people in print a million times, you can't get too bent out of shape over one particular word or the way something is phrased in someone's quote in an article, because she might have talked for hours and the reporter just picks one phrase because that's what fits into the article, but it doesn't necessarily give you the entire context of everything she said, everything she felt. And for people saying, you can have aesthetic differences, you can have artistic differences, you can, judge the technical merits of something, fine. But when you start saying that someone is destroying their mother's legacy or doesn't care about her family, family tradition, this is someone who literally grew up in Imagineering. And
Yeah.
for you to say that, you sitting behind social media, he knows more about, the history and the importance of this than someone who literally grew up with it and whose mother is in the haunted
Yeah,
mansion.
exactly.
It's just kind of, it's hubris, and I think there's a lot of misogyny involved in it. And it's like when we don't change, or when they don't change and update and fix things and keep them current, then people complain. And when they do change and update and fix things and make them current,
Yes.
you're damned if you do and if you don't. And I think the only response is like, if I was Imagineering, I would not be like, oh, okay, we're going to tear out all these changes and put things back to the way the most obnoxious fans want them to be. No, they're just going to stop communicating with the press. They're just going to stop communicating with fans. They're just going to ignore you and take your money.
Yeah. I mean, Disney fans were never happy.
No,
You know what I mean?
never
It's just
sad.
what it
But
is.
it's like you can question the product. You can point out flaws in a product. That's fine. That's what I do as a critic. But to like attack someone's personal integrity and saying they're disrespecting their family, it's just, it's uncalled for. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
please,
Yeah.
please.
And everything, like you said, she probably talked for hours, and and it's like this fit the narrative. It
Yeah.
obviously got a lot
Yeah.
of attention because it's
Yeah.
all anyone's been talking about for days.
Yeah.
Definitely read it.
Yeah, I mean, there's interesting things in that article. There are things in the haunted mansion that are questionable by today's standards. Do I think that the hanging ghost in the elevator will be there forever? No, I mean, if sensibilities change, things change. That's okay. Um, as long as it's done with intelligence and artistry. There are plenty of things that have been in the parks over the years that you don't want them to be in. Trust me, if you walked into the park circa 1971 or 1956, you would probably be upset by some of the things there. We don't need to turn the clock back.
Or if you go on Mr. Toad.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I think it's just we don't know why they did this, but if it triggering was the
Yeah.
number one reason, I doubt that. I think it was just
I mean,
for the
no,
narrative.
I don't think necessarily anyone was complaining about it.
Right.
But if you're going to take, I think mostly it was the projector was looking dated compared to things like the Hatbox Ghost,
Right.
compared to the new. No one's talking about the digital projections for the hitchhiking ghosts in the mirrors at the very end, which are so good and so close to the old physical props that I think a lot of people don't even notice that it's gone digital. Lighting improvements all throughout, all those kind of things. You don't want to spend all the money to update something technically and have it just go completely unnoticed. If you're going to do that work, you might as well make some artistic change. And I think this one, I liked the Hatchet Bride, but I grew up with the Beating Heart Ghost. That was my bride in my attic growing up. And so I'm kind of happy to see a version of her back.
Yeah, I mean, and regardless, this is arguably the most iconic attraction, maybe of
Yep.
all time, maybe of Disney, because of its history. So when anything ever gets done, there's going to be,
Yeah.
stuff's going to go down.
Interestingly, I believe this means we now have a completely different bride in each haunted mansion, because we still have the constants in Walt Disney World. We have this new beating heart ghost in Disneyland. Tokyo Disneyland, I think, has still the original beating heart ghost, because they basically, I mean, is still like 70s vintage.
Wow.
And then, of course, you have Melanie, the widow, the bride in Phantom Manor. She's a totally different character. And yeah, so different brides all around. So you go pick your favorite bride and ride that ride over.
That would
and
be a
over.
fun trip to go to every single one and go
Yep.
on Haunted
Oh,
Mansion.
and there's a mermaid bride ghost inside the Haunted Mansion parlor
There is.
on the Disney Treasure. And MEI-Travel, of course, can help you get to all of those brides, wherever
Yes,
they
I
may
love
be.
that.
There's a segue for you, right?
Perfect.
All right. Well, that is just about going to bring us to the end of this show. Before we wrap it up, let's take a look at some of the live comments that you folks left us while we were recording. And we'll start with Michael Bingham, who is excited to check out the Stella Nova Resort. We hope you feel better and get out there. Yeah, Michael understands. He went to visit Disneyland back when his grandmother passed away, so he knows how the theme parks can help. Vince Lamb wishing everyone Martin Luther King Day. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Yes, we came on early. Glad you were able to join
Yes,
us.
thank you.
Wishing Mr. Fulton Mraz a big
Happy
happy
birthday.
26th birthday. Happy birthday. Um, um, Tom Box has a opinion on the bride, saying it's not even a good animatronic compared to the Hatbox Ghost. I have not seen it in person yet. It is not fully animated animatronic.
Right.
It doesn't seem to have as many points of articulation as the Hatbox Ghost, as you say. But I really do like, from the videos I've seen, the different layers of projection and lighting effects on it.
Yeah.
I've gotten stopped in front of the Hatbox Ghost
Oh, I
for a
love when that
long period of
happens.
time.
Yes.
And it's with the Hatbox One of the Ghosts is one of those things that's really cool, even once you figure it out. But once you've sat in front of it a while and you see how the mechanism works, then you're kind of like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting stuck in front of this one. Vince Lamb correcting me. It's Melanie Ravenswood in Phantom Manor, as she also carries a candelabra. Not sure if it's the exact same candelabra. Let us know. Get us a good picture of it. And I'll let Eric O have the last word, because he's there at Disneyland today
Woo!
to experience the new ride. Can't wait to hear what you think. All right.
Yes, have fun.
All right. Well, before we go, we want to thank our sponsors, MEI and MEI-Travel, and remind everyone to please give us a rating and review wherever you listen to us, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube. Also, please be sure to follow us at attractionsmagazine.com and search for Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media accounts. Carly, where can folks find you on socials?
Yes, I am on Instagram at Adventures by Carly. I'll be sharing all my fun happenings over the next few days, so can't wait.
I hope I get to run into you. I will be taking a little break from social media to take care of family stuff, but usually you can find me at Eskabursky or at The Unofficial Guides. And of course, you can pick up copies of my books at theunofficialguides.com. And until next week, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. And we will see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.